Money's a big topic in my life. Obviously, I talk about Bitcoin with my friends and family, and now on the internet, I advocate for sound money standards. But if you don't make enough money to pay your bills every month, then you're not thinking about saving for 1 year, 5 years, 10 years down the road. It's just impossible to do so because you're just not there yet financially. And I didn't know if I would ever be there financially. When I got married back in 2019, I made less than 40 grand a year. But just a few years later, I got into or back into sales, and it allowed me to grow my earnings by 3 or 4x from what I was whenever I got married. And obviously that's allowed me to invest for the future and to make my life better. And so I wanted to just make this video to talk through how I started to make more money using sales and using commissionable jobs, and talk through the pros and cons of those positions. If you're going to be a salesperson, you need to learn how to communicate, talk to people, and be fluent with the ideas in your head getting to their head. If you can do that through experience, that's how some great salespeople are made. If you, let's say my current job is I sell foundation repair to people. If you've done foundation repair for 5 or 10 years, then you're going to be a natural salesperson, or at least you should be, because you should be able to articulate every part of the job. Every step of the correction that we're going to do should be second nature to you, so you can explain it pretty well to people. And if you decide to go the alternate route where you have a lot of sales experience, you can learn other things on the job. I can only give my examples, which is car sales and foundation repair sales. I like my current position better, but I might not have been as good at this position unless I had done the car sales first. I got hired onto a Toyota dealership back in 2020, and it was actually a really good time to be in cars because even though it's counterintuitive, there was less cars being produced, and therefore the cars that were produced and were on the lot made you more money because there was no incentive to discount them down to the rate that they were being discounted to 1 or 2 years before that. And so I would sell anywhere from 10 to 20 cars a month and make anywhere from $100 to $1,000 per car. And so for my first year in car sales, coming from working at Lowe's, I went from making about $45,000 a year to $120,000 a year. And that sounds amazing, and it was. The only downside is that there was no base pay, and the job I'm at currently pays even more, but there is no base pay. There is no hourly rate. There is no vacation time. There is nothing that gives you a baseline income. It is basically just having your own business. If you have a business and you can create value for other people, selling goods to them or selling services, you can collect a portion of the money of that project or good and keep it for yourself. In the car world, at least in my dealership, it was 25 to 30% of the profit made on each car. So if you sold a car for $4,000 over what the company paid for it, you get paid $1,000. In the foundation repair world, it's a little bit different. You don't get paid on the profits of the company. You get paid on the gross revenue of the company. Meaning, if I come to your house and determine, hey, you have water in your crawl space, it needs to be repaired. We would dig a drain around the interior walls, funnel all of that water to a sump pump the water out, and then lay a new vapor barrier down. That'd be a project that could cost anywhere from $6,000 to $10,000. And at the end, after the company gets paid for the work that was done by the installers, I would get paid 10% of the value of that project. And my income is not capped. So I could sell $1 million a year and make $100,000. I could sell $2 million a year and make $200,000. From a person who did not have a college degree, I went to school for a year to learn business finance, and then quit because I did not think I was getting my money's worth out of private school. If you're going to do a job that is commission-based only, I do not recommend jumping into that position without any sales experience. The job that I have right now, I've only been at for 4 years, and I am already the most senior person at the job because it has such a high turnover rate. When you have no base pay, when you have no income to rely on, whenever you don't do good, if you start off not making a lot of sales, you are going to quit the job. It's human nature to quit something if you're not doing well at it. If you're going to ever get into a sales position, I recommend doing one with a base salary first that you can earn commissionable income on top of it. That is kind of what I did with Lowe's, in that I was a person who sold appliances and flooring, and I could sell additional warranties or other things on top of it that would earn me a little bit of extra income. I enjoyed the process, and I got fairly good at talking people through the thought process of, why would you potentially need a warranty? These products are nice, but they're not necessarily built to last. And so if we were to spend, $100, $200 extra on a warranty on a $2,000 product, you don't have to worry about it breaking down. It will be serviced and or fixed and or replaced by the company at no cost to you. And it's probably worth the extra 10% to not have to deal with the hassle or cost factor to your fridge breaking 2 years from now. And because I got fairly good at talking people through the benefits of that, I would get paid a few $100s extra on each one of my checks. I sold a home remodel to the used car manager at my local Toyota dealership, and he brought me out to the dealership one day and just wanted to talk to me about potentially working there. And in doing so, it sounded like a job that I think I could be good at. And the car sales world is really known for being scummy, for lack of a better term. They don't have a great reputation, I guess. And so for me, it was really easy to stand out as a reputable car salesman, because all I had to do was just treat people fairly nice, not lie to their face, and point them towards a car that would be good for them versus what would be good for me. And in doing that, I had a lot of success. I was the number 2 salesperson in the entire dealership, even though there had been guys working there for 10, 20, or 30 years. And I think what really made me stand out, it was I just didn't take a lot of time to myself during the workday. When you are commission-based, when you have to go out and get your own sales, you have to be active the entire day. Meaning, when I wasn't talking to a customer, I was sitting by the work phone, able to take random calls into the office. And I was also on my computer sending out emails and or texts to people who had shown any interest in cars in the future. Until they told me, hey, I'm not interested. Hey, I already bought another car. I would just keep messaging. And that does sound a little bit annoying, because it probably was. For some people who just came in to, glance at a car and then leave, all you have to do is tell me, hey, I'm not interested. And I would stop reaching out. But until that point, in my head, you might be a person who's still interested in this or another car. So let me just keep reaching out. Every couple weeks, I'd say, hey, you interested now? I'm happy to set something up for you if you want to drive whatever car you're interested in. And that persistence actually did turn into sales. And I had other people at the dealership who didn't make as many sales, who would often complain and say, why is this guy getting all the deals? I was not getting handed anything. I just was very adamant about making the most out of my time when I worked there. And so I worked there for a few years. I made $100,000 a year every year I worked there, and it was fantastic. Never thought I'd make $100,000 in my life, because I was striving to make $15 an hour before I got out of high school. I was just really hoping I could find a job that made $15 an hour. I look back on that now and like, well, I couldn't feed my kids on $15 an hour. But that was my intention, was to get something that paid $30,000 a year, because in my head, that was a lot of money in high school. Nowadays, if I didn't make $100,000 a year, I think I would feel really bad about myself, because I have become accustomed to providing a certain amount of value to my company, and I would be underperforming every single month the entire year. If I can't sell $100,000 worth of repairs to people after going into 40 houses in a month, for people who called us asking us to come out and fix a problem, I would feel like I wasn't doing my job very well. And I can't imagine myself doing less than $100,000 a month for 12 months in a row. It just wouldn't, I would want them to fire me, because I don't think I could live with how poorly I was doing in comparison to what I'm doing now. Making a good amount of income doesn't matter unless you are going to budget that income accordingly to give yourself an advantage for the future. Now, if you make $10,000 a month and you spend $9,800 in a month, you're really not doing yourself a service. It's the same as if you made $3,000 a month and spent 2,800 bucks. If you choose to go into a commissionable field where your income fluctuates every month, what I recommend is finding what you make on average and spend half of it every month. Make your bills equal half of what you think you're going to make. And then if you have a really down month, you still get to pay all your bills. But in the up months where you're doing really well, you get to siphon a whole lot of extra income over to investments that can allow you to retire at an earlier age in life. I don't believe retirement is a age like 59 and a half or 65 or 70. Retirement doesn't work unless you have the money to retire on. If you are a 75-year-old with $40,000 in the bank and your expenses are $30,000 a year, you can retire for a full year and 3 months, and then you're out of money and you have to go back to work. On the other side of the spectrum, if you are 35 years old and have $1.2 million in the bank and you only spend $40,000 a year, your income your investments can likely make more than your needed spend rate every month. And so you can likely retire at 35. Should you retire at 35? Absolutely not. I don't plan to retire probably ever. Whenever I get tired of this job, I will just move to a different position, maybe something with less hours, maybe something with less stress, but I'm going to want to work and provide value for the world until I die. Retirement is different for everyone. And so for me, retirement just means I do not have to show up to work. I don't have to show up anywhere to have my bills paid for my family. Once I get to that point and don't have to work anymore, I can reevaluate if I still like my job. And I believe I do. So I'll probably continue to work here for the foreseeable future until I get offered something better. And that's my biggest advice to young people is never be so sure of what you want that you wouldn't accept something better. I believe that's a Chris Voss quote, so it didn't come from me. If you start saving in Bitcoin, all your excess income, you'll be able to retire much faster than somebody who saves in ETF funds and bonds. But I hope you guys have a great day. Talk to you soon.